You ever have that feeling, that deep down sense that you're capable of so much more, but something's holding you back? Well, what if that something isn't out there in the world, but it's actually inside you? We're about to dive into this incredible story that shows just how much our self perception literally creates our reality. And I'm telling you, the lesson in it, it could change everything for you. The legendary writer Napoleon Hill summed it all up in just 6 words: what you think about, you become. It sounds so simple, right? But just think about what that really means for a second. It's suggesting that the world we live in, the life we experience, is a direct mirror of the thoughts we allow to run through our heads. But, okay, let's be honest. If it were really that easy, wouldn't we all be crushing it? Why is there this giant canyon between wanting to be successful and actually getting there? If our thoughts are so powerful, why do so many of us feel so, well, stuck? Well, the answer, and this might surprise you, lies in a really simple story, a parable about a beggar. It doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it holds the key to why success can feel so completely out of reach. So let's get into it. Okay, so picture this: a super busy railway station. You've got people rushing everywhere, everyone's got a purpose, a place to be, and right in the middle of all that chaos, we meet our main character, a man whose whole life is defined by one thing: asking. His entire world, his whole existence, came down to just asking people for money. He survived on whatever kindness strangers would throw his way. But the real prison wasn't his poverty, it was his mindset. He was completely convinced that he had absolutely nothing of value to give to anyone. In his mind, his identity was taker. End of story. And then, one day, everything changes. A sharp, confident-looking businessman shows up on the platform. The beggar just sees another potential handout, right? He does his usual thing, he asks for a coin, but what he gets instead is something that's about to completely shatter his world. Instead of getting a coin, the businessman hits him with a question. And I mean, this question, it lands like a punch to the gut. No one had ever challenged his reality like this before. It wasn't mean, it was like a mirror that just cut right through the story he'd been telling himself for years. And right here, you see two totally different ways of looking at the world. The beggar's mindset, it's all based on pity. He thinks the only way he can get anything is if someone feels sorry for him. But the businessman, he operates on a mindset of exchange. He believes everyone, and he means everyone, has something of value to offer. So he isn't just denying the beggar a coin, he's challenging him to completely change his operating system. And this is the secret sauce to that new system: the principle of exchange. It's the number 1 rule of business, but as our beggar is about to find out, it's also a fundamental rule of life. You can't just stand on the sidelines expecting to receive. You gotta get in the game by giving something first. So you can imagine, those words, they just haunt the beggar for days. He actually stops begging. He just sits there, thinking. For the first time in his life, he's actually questioning who he is. And this really hard thought starts to bubble up. What if the problem isn't that people are stingy, but that he's not contributing? And boom, there it is. That's the big hurdle, isn't it? It's that old voice, that limiting belief, just screaming inside his head. He's wrestling with this huge new idea, but his whole identity is still wrapped up in scarcity. I mean, how are you supposed to give anything when your entire sense of self is built on the belief that you have nothing? And then, just as he's about to give up, he notices something. Something he's probably seen a million times before, but never really seen. It's this small patch of wildflowers growing right there by the tracks. And in that tiny splash of color, an idea, a totally radical idea, starts to bloom in his mind. Maybe, just maybe, he wasn't completely empty-handed after all. So he tries it. He picks a few flowers. The very next time a passenger gives him a coin, he doesn't just mumble thanks. He looks them right in the eye, he smiles, and he offers them a flower in return. And the change is instant. People light up. All of a sudden, the whole thing isn't about pity anymore. It's this happy little exchange. He starts to see a pattern, fast. When he has flowers to give, the money comes in. When he has nothing to offer, he gets nothing. This one tiny shift in what he does starts to build a completely new identity for him. He's not just a taker anymore. He's an active participant. And this all gets cemented when he runs into the same man who started this whole thing. So, months later, he spots the businessman again. But this time, he doesn't shuffle over with his head down. Nope. He walks over with confidence, not to ask for a coin, but to make a deal.
He offers the man a flower. The businessman, he just smiles. He sees the incredible change and says the words that make it all real. He's not just a beggar holding some flowers. He's something else entirely now. And as the train starts to pull away, it hits him. The full meaning of what the businessman said just clicks. This isn't charity. This is business. People aren't giving him money because they feel sorry for him. They are paying him for the value he's providing, this simple joy of a flower. And in that one moment, the identity of beggar just dissolves, and it's replaced by something way more powerful: trader. With that one realization, everything, and I mean everything, changes. He makes a choice. He turns his back on the station, and he walks away from his old life for good. All right, now let's fast forward. We're at the final chapter of this story, where we get to see the amazing long-term impact of this one single shift in thinking. 6 months go by. We're at the same station, but it's a completely different reality. Two sharp, well-dressed men are meeting on the platform. For a second, there's a flicker of recognition, but the change is so dramatic, it takes a moment to sink in. It's our former beggar, now a successful flower merchant, and the businessman. And this time, they don't meet as a giver and a taker. They meet as equals. And this right here is the punchline. This is the whole lesson. The former beggar explains what happened. He says it wasn't really about the flowers. It was about realizing that his potential, his value, was inside him the entire time. The identity of a businessman was always in there, waiting. He just had to change his mind to let it out. So what's the big takeaway for all of us from this amazing story? It's that how we see ourselves isn't just some small detail. It's the actual blueprint for our lives. If you believe you're small, you'll act small, and you'll stay small. But the second you recognize your own potential, your own value, you unlock the power to do incredible things. It really does all start with a change in your thoughts. So in the end, the story isn't really about a beggar, is it? It's a mirror. It's a mirror for every single one of us, and it leaves us with one really important question. What's the story you're telling yourself about your own value? Are you a taker, just waiting for life to hand you something? Or are you a trader with something unique and valuable to offer the world? Because whatever you decide, that's who you'll become.